Hello, friends, and welcome to week number 8 of the show. That's almost 2 months, of doing this. Yeah, it's a kind of weird. I think it's kind of weird that I'm speaking to different people and recording some conversations and then uploading them, and then some other people are listening to it. I think it's whack. It's a bit crazy, I think, and I'm thankful for that. I think it's a cool experience, and it's kind of fun. I've actually had a lot of fun doing this, and I didn't think I would. And I didn't think I would be learning as much as I've been learning about different things. So yeah, thank you for the possibility of making this. And yeah, I think life is kind of weird because we're always learning stuff. You know, you never stop learning things, I think. And I've learned to grasp every situation and circumstance as a teacher. You know, meet this new teacher that you have to listen to and pay attention to, and get the most out of what's happening into your life, so you can become better and grow if that's what you want. And I think it's a great way to live life, to do it this way, at least for me. And if you're on the same path, I think you are doing great. Yeah, we're still in quarantine in Melbourne, and I'm still resting. And it hasn't been easy for me. Hasn't been easy at all. Hasn't been an easy week, but it's been a good week. I think that the major challenges for me have been with my emotions and the things that I want, you know, the cravings that I have for my own self. And just continuing to be patient to wait for the things that I want, like dancing, like finding a partner, and like not being in quarantine anymore, being free again, be free to travel and all those things. But I'm grateful for the possibility that we have to just experience this, you know, like how weird is this, and we can experience it, and we can get so many good things. And I've met a lot of people that have been able to create new goodness for their lives because of this situation, and I'm one of those people, so it's great. All right, so today it might be a bit of a different episode to the previous ones, as I am sharing some parts of a conversation that I recently had with my close and very good friend James. We were literally catching up on online. We're just talking on Zoom, and we weren't sure if it was going to be a podcast episode, but we always have good conversations, so I recorded it. And he's spending his COVID times in his hometown in Adelaide. He's living in Colombia currently, but because of COVID he hasn't been able to go back. James is someone that I connect with deeply, as we have very similar and eclectic interests, and he's one of the smartest and interesting guys that I know. So we talked about his ayahuasca experience, and his epiphany that he had about his grandma's life, about storytelling, wine, and to focus on careers or goals. And I hope you find value in this podcast, and that you're keeping yourself true and at peace. And so yeah, I hope you enjoy this conversation, and thank you for listening.
Yeah, tell me, man, what are you thinking? Like, what makes you think about this ayahuasca stuff?
So I've been during quarantine, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, like for example Joe Rogan and Duncan Trussell.
Yeah,
these guys are huge in psychedelics, as you know.
Yeah.
And I think that, sorry, I'm just checking something. So I think there's a lot of truth and things that a lot of people haven't figured out about, like medicinal plants and like this entire different realm of reality, you know?
Yeah.
So based on what other people's experiences and recent studies, I'm really intrigued by that kind of experience. So yeah, that's definitely something I would like to try.
Yeah. It's definitely, yeah, because I did it like, I did it in Melbourne. Like I've got actually contacts, like an email kind of list. It's like a secret kind of email list that I'm on. They arrange events for it still, even at the moment, I think. But yeah, I did. There's like some guy, he does it around the place in Australia. He's kind of like, he's done it like hundreds of times. Like it's just like a tripper, basically.
But is he a shaman or is it just, hey, come and get high on ayahuasca?
It's neither. He's like, he respects it and stuff. He's not a shaman. He doesn't try to do it like traditional. He like treats it like a traditional kind of medicine thing and like respects it, but doesn't try to like, you know, put on the kind of the traditional kind of, you know, facade, because he's Australian and he's like, you know, he talks about, you know, he knows about it and he's like, it was like in you know, like I can't remember where exactly what the area was called, but it was like a 2 or 3 hour drive out of Melbourne, in like camping, you know, with the fire, like, and like just lying under the stars and whatever, and you know, kind of meant to be done like kind of, you know, in nature and like, you know, with a positive kind of you know, space for it and stuff. But yeah, not trying to like imitate like the traditional kind of South American stuff, like,
Right.
you know, yeah. But yeah, it was definitely like, it's one of those things like, when I decided to do it, I was like, I don't know, I was, yeah, in one of this kind of spot, like, you know, just not feeling good and whatever, and just kind of like, yeah, I'll just try whatever. I've heard good things. People say they have kind of, you know, big
Spiritual
insights and
awakening.
changes them and stuff. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. But it was like, definitely, it was like very crazy, but it was really like hard. It's kind of funny because it's like faded in my memory a bit. Like, you know, when I first had done it, like immediately after, like it was like a really strong like memory and felt like really big. And now with time, it's kind of become a bit more distant. But because it was like, I would say at the time, I would say to people, it was like both the best and the worst thing I've ever done. Like it was like, it was like really horrible in a lot of ways, but also had like, you know, a lot of stuff that was like crazy, really amazing.
So so you actually so you went to this camping retreat, let's say, and
Yeah,
you had the ayahuasca, and
yeah,
you did experience like going into somewhere
yeah, yeah,
else,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
it was like the best and the worst of you, basically.
Yeah, it was like, I was like in a really amazing experience, but it was also like very painful. Like that's the, like really unpleasant as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's the kind of thing which, like, I don't, when other people who ask me about or talk about doing it, I'm always like, well, like, I feel like online and you meet people who are like, just talk about the positives and how it's like awesome and stuff. And I'm like, you know, in my experience, I'm like, it was like, I wouldn't recommend it for like lots of people. It depends what your reason is. Like, it's
I
not
think
like
it has to
something.
do with that. Yeah, I think and also your state of mind at the time, because
Yeah, yeah,
if you're in a wrong mindset, I think it's probably not going to be good for you.
yeah. I mean, it can be, you know, some people say it helps them and stuff, but the thing is, yeah, I guess, I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you kind of how it was for me anyway, because basically it's like, it was, so like everyone's like lying in like, you know, their kind of sleeping bag kind of spot around this fire. The dude, he had music playing. It was like kind of, I don't even know, like, you know, what you call the music. It's like this music. It's like music for trippers. Like it's like this kind of weird electronic music that, you know, I don't even know what genre you'd call it, but like it's got
Yeah.
all weird kind of sounds, like kind of like a slinky, kind of like kind of weird, music that sort of seemed to be made for being on psychedelics. but
Probably.
but yeah, so everyone like has a cup of it, and goes and just like lies down, and like the thing that was like first really weird is like there was some like really weird. I met some really awesome people there. Like made some, a couple of good friends. But there was like a really weird mix of people, right? And so I'm lying down, and then like people, there was some girl in particular who started like making like howling and shit, like a wolf, like, and like barking, like straight up, like you just take this stuff and you kind of lie there, and then like start kind of feeling a bit weird, and then they're like, all of a sudden it's like there was like this sounded like I was surrounded by like fucking hyenas or something, like, because and it was like I was legit like, am I tripping, or is someone like fucking like howling and like yelping and shit? Like she was going like you like all this like full on like top of her lungs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, initially I'm like, is this fucking me? And then I'm like kind of asked my mate, like, who, because I went with a friend, and he's like, no, yeah, that's some girl. Like, fuck, all right. And then like similarly, like another guy, like some other guy there started like yelling and like screaming and shit, like just like that. Like, so that was the initial part. Like everyone kind of is tripping out, which makes you feel like you're tripping out because you're like, you're like trying to chill, and then like you're like, is this me? What the fuck's going on? Like,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah. It makes you a bit paranoid.
yeah. I mean, it was just, it made it like, it'd be very different. My experience might have been different if I wasn't with these other people who were like tripping out, because I wasn't feeling like that kind of crazy. But
And you definitely don't want to feel paranoid when you're experiencing psychedelics, I bet.
yeah, it wasn't like paranoid so much as just like I was just kind of like unsure if I was like imagining that people were going, like you're kind of in that state where you're not trusting your senses a bit, and so it's like, is this me? It's like, I'm pretty sure I'm okay, but what the fuck? Like I wasn't going to think some girl was literally like yelping and shit for like an hour straight. Like seriously, it was crazy. It was like one of the weirdest things when I think about it. She was straight up like sounded like a fucking like a hyena, like growling at the moon, like. But
So
that was like the
you
start anyway. That was just the start.
so you take the ayahuasca.
Yeah.
How and you go lie down. The chick is making hyena noises. And then what
Yeah.
happens?
So it makes you throw up, like it's like part of it, right? So yeah, eventually you get to that part where it's like, all right, yeah, now I've got to go throw up, and just like go
The
like,
purge. They call it the
yeah, the
purge.
purge. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was like that was like when it had properly kicked in, because like I was like, yeah, I was like fucked. Like I was like, I couldn't stand up. Like it was dark because we're camping in the middle of nowhere. There's a fire, but like there's space to kind of go and like crawl off, and all like I just like, oh, I couldn't stand up, so I was just like crawling like to like try. I'm like no idea where I was. I'm like just trying to not be like spewing on my sleeping bag. That's all. Like I was just like, just don't want to spew on the sleeping bag. Just where I don't know where I am, but and then,
Of course.
so like get there, and then find a spot and just like blah. And it was like the clip, what they say is like you throw up heaps, like way more than you think you would, because you like, I didn't eat that much or whatever, but you throw up like heaps, and like it seems like it just goes forever.
Wow.
But that was the point where it was like actually kind of like psychedelic vision shit, like, because after that it's like all the purge is done, and then I was like, okay, I kind of feel okay, and I kind of because I'm just like totally in that kind of throwing up, not even looking around. But then I finish and I'm like, look up, and I'm like, I actually stand up. I'm like, huh. And like that was when like everything, like the whole fucking sky and everything was like neon lines, like full on psychedelic thing, like like everything looked like a kind of a pulsating neon outlines everywhere. It was like proper, the only time I've really had that kind of full on
Uh,
psychedelic thing.
do
But
you
yeah,
see
so
geometrical shapes.
Yeah, but not like that evolving kind of thing that people talk about. Really, it was just kind of like the world kind of was, yeah, like kind of like a Mario Brothers game or some shit. Like that's kind of what it felt like, but in 3D though, which is pretty cool.
It's amazing, yeah. And then
But
what?
yeah, then just like, yeah, went and lied back down again, and I don't like I probably have forgotten like bits, but the primary thing that happened for me is like I did it like a couple weeks after my grandma died, kind of coincidentally, really. And it was like I was actually meant to be going and visiting her like the next week. Like I was gonna, because she was a bit sick and stuff. So I didn't really think it would like affected me a lot in that way. But what, because I admire her a lot. Like she was a very impressive kind of woman. Like she was orphaned really young and in the depression, and then she was a psychiatric nurse and got married and had my mum and some other kids, and then her husband got killed in a motorbike accident when they were all like tiny, like just a few years old. So she had to raise them on her own and blah blah blah. She was actually the first camera person in Australia for like television, first female camera person for television.
Wow.
So she was impressive. I always admired her heaps, and she was really like a positive, like despite having a lot of bad things happen in her life, she was always like extremely happy and positive and just loving and stuff, which I always when I was older I got impressed by that, because I think a lot of people could easily be bitter by growing up basically getting abused in an orphanage and like then having a lot of bad luck and stuff with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so from my experience, it was because it's all super personal, and this is what other people there said as well. Like your experience is totally personal about like your life and your situation and stuff. So for me, it was this weird thing where it's very hard to describe, and so it sounds weird to other people, but it wasn't so much like psychedelic vision stuff, but it was like in my mind, or in what I experienced was like I went through her life. like I saw I saw her life when she was young, and then like when she was my age, and I was like talking to her as though we were the same age, and I was realizing how we're really similar, and that we're like the same person, but she's just kind of, it's kind of hard to describe, because obviously a grandparent, like they kind of seem like this old person, blah blah blah, but like I had this thing where I was totally like communicating with her like she was just exactly my age, and I was like, wow, we're just exactly the same. And I was kind of went through her life and her experiences and stuff in like it felt like I was going with her through her experiences, and so it was very like basically I was like crying for like, it felt like hours, like absolutely crying as hard as you can, like because I was like watching going through the experience of like where she became a widow and all this kind of stuff, and I was like feeling it. So it's like it's
So you were feeling felt.
I was trying to, that's what it was, felt like I was going through these like her life experiences and feeling what she felt, and like kind of just, it was basically like an experience of extreme empathy. Like it's what it felt like. I felt like I was her and I was experiencing what she had experienced and stuff.
Yeah.
In the good and bad parts. So there were, parts where it was like happy and I was like laughing like a crazy person and whatever. And the parts where it was like super sad and I was like crying, like ball of my It's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's really like, words don't do justice, like, just, you can't really put into words because it just sounds like silly. but yeah, so that was the main kind of thing for me, and it, like that went for ages, and it was a positive experience because like I say, I admire her a lot and whatever, and so I kind of got to the end of it and I was like thinking, oh, like I'm just like her, which means which is a good thing, because she was an amazing person and blah blah blah, and so it was kind of like that was the the outcome. In between, like there's stuff like I was like still vomiting and shit, and like had to like take a piss and stuff, but I couldn't walk because I was just totally out of it, and it was dark and stuff. So I was like kneeling, like taking a piss, like sitting down and stuff, like because I couldn't stand up. And like, actually, after that, like the guy managing it, he one of those times like I just couldn't get up. Like, so I just like was like lying in the dirt, like it's like freezing cold and shit as well. I was just like lying in this mud, like 20 meters away from the campsite, just like lying there. He's like, "Hey, are you okay, man? Are you okay?" I'm like, "Oh." Like that, I was like lucky. One of the guys I became friends with, it was this Irish guy, and he was like lying in his thing, and he's like, "Yeah, I pissed myself." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Oh, I just couldn't get up, so I just pissed in my swag." I'm like, "How do you feel about that?" He's like, "I've accepted it."
I think that's probably one of the effects of the plant, like, because I always hear that it just removes your ego. So I think it's about ego death, and it just makes you do all things really yeah, these things are really, really, what's the word? Vergonzoso, vergüenza.
Shameful, maybe. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, or what's the other one?
Embarrassing, is that what you mean?
Embarrassing, yeah. It makes you go through all these
experience.
Just to, like,
that's what they say. It forces you, and whatever you like, whatever you're afraid of, it kind of makes you experience that. Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah,
but,
that's what
so it was like, actually, because we actually did it 2 nights. Like that was the first night, and then the next day, like everyone kind of wakes up and was chilling, kind of talking about things. It's like, that was crazy. Like, don't know if do I really want to do that again? But they say supposedly that by doing it more, like you're kind of dealing with more stuff, like so the guy who was leading it, he took it and he was just chill, and he's like, "Yeah, I've done it so many times, I've like dealt with all my demons, I'm fine." That's what he said. Because on the second night for me, like it wasn't really anything, like it wasn't good. I had it and it was like kind of, and then he's like, "Oh, do you want some more?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, okay." But then all that was like I was like in a fever dream. Like it wasn't like a good thing. I was just like I was in my bed, like feeling restless and like uncomfortable and nothing like good. You know what I mean? So it was
everyone says that you should let go. So how do you how did you have to go through that, like actually let go and like not be controlling about the situation?
I mean, I don't know, man. It's just you kind of don't have any choice. So it's just that you kind of, I think you do it, and you just have to, you try to have that presence of mind that the times where shit feels scary or whatever, you just go, don't worry, like just let it, whatever it is, let it happen.
Are you aware that you're tripping? It's like, are you like thinking those bad things, or seeing weird shit, and you're like, all right, it's okay, I'm tripping, it's gonna be fine, I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna get sober again?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's moments where you're like, deep into it, and then you kind of have moments where you kind of like, kind of back in reality, kind of temporarily, and then you kind of like, wow, this is kind of crazy. But then you kind of, it's like you get, because it's kind of, you're just getting lost in your thoughts, basically. Like what it kind of seems like. You kind of just going deep into your own thoughts, so deep that you kind of feel like, you're not even on the planet. Because that's one of the things I remember feeling, was like, it's like you weren't present there. Like I was like somewhere else, like I have no idea, like no idea where I was in the world. I felt like I was just, somehow, not physically, no awareness of what I was doing or where I was or anything. So, but I don't know. What do you think? Like, does that sound like something you want to do?
Yeah, definitely. Even more so.
I think you would get something good out of it. You seem like the kind of person who would. I just have a lot of friends who like say, "Oh yeah, I wouldn't mind trying that," and I'm like, I don't think you actually do want to do it. Like, I don't think you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's not casual, is my point. I felt like it's not something like I would ever suggest someone did, like just casually kind of thing. You have to be like prepared, be like, all right, yeah, this could suck, it could be whatever, but it's because I'm interested in, the growth potentially.
Yeah, exactly. For example, I've never done any type of psychedelics, nothing.
Yeah.
And I've always been super anti-drugs, really.
Yeah.
But the more I learn, and the more I've learned about psychedelics, and the more I learn the experiences that people do have, it's like, yeah, I really want to experience that. I really want to do mushrooms and LSD now and ayahuasca. I really want to do an ayahuasca retreat and actually go to probably the Amazon and do it with that shaman and do that because of the spiritual awakening or the potential growth and dealing with the darker parts of yourself. And experiencing that, I think that's something that I really wanna try. So yeah, the more I learn, the more I want to do it.
Yeah, and that's cool. I mean, I had only once done before any psychedelic. I did mushrooms once, just with friends, just at a house where we live, and it was cool. Like, it was a good experience, but yeah, it was like just not super like crazy or anything, just kind of funny. Like, it's just like kind of, it was just like, yeah, kind of a bit weird and stuff, but I don't think I had heaps.
Yeah, it could be more of a let's get high kind of thing. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on kind of your situation, like the intention of everyone. Yeah. Like for me, it was just friends. Kind of, there's a forest near Adelaide where stuff grows, and I had friends who like just went and picked some, and they're like, "Hey, we picked some mushrooms. You want to try?" All right, yeah. But yeah, I actually since then, like, I've learned or heard a lot more about it, because obviously there are people like Tim Ferriss and Joe Rogan and stuff like talk about it, and also just in the kind of the scientific sort of part of it, there's a lot of evidence of it being really good.
Yeah, exactly. Like when the McKenna brothers or like Graham Hancock, or even a lot of Buddhist teachers also experience it. And talk wonders about it. So I'm always also very interested about people that I find interesting and that I respect and stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And I guess the important part is that it's not done for like escape from. It's not just an escape or pleasure seeking. That's what I don't like drugs, when it's just to escape reality temporarily or just to feel pleasure temporarily. I feel like I personally feel worse after that. Like, I don't feel good if I go out and do whatever, cocaine or whatever, I just go back to real life the next day, and I feel like worse. So, which I'm not interested in.
It's like the same with alcohol for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Alcohol is no longer a drug that I want to get fucked up on. Like, I'm super over that curve. But I do like, for example, I like to drink alcohol or like drink wine, for example, because I feel that it puts me in a different state of consciousness in which I can develop a different way of thinking, or that I can have the different types of conversations, because I can relate to different parts of my brain. I don't know. But for example, I have with red wine.
Yeah, so I mean, I like wine because I like it. That's the. I mean, I like the taste. Yeah. Which is, but that's kind of the only reason, really. Oh well, I mean, it's nice. It's nice with friends. It's nice to have a good conversation, and a few glasses is always fun.
Exactly. It's not like you say, all right, I had the best conversation with my mate when we were doing tequila shots,
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's everyone's like, oh, we're having some wine and we're having some cheese, and we were talking about philosophy, and we're talking about some real deep stuff, about our families, and
Yeah. Yeah, man. No, I'll definitely I'll try to forward you, or I'll try to get you on that mailing list. Because actually, it was I think if you wanted to do it, you know, in Australia, like I think they are good. I mean, the place we were at was really nice. It wasn't that expensive, really. Yeah, it was cool. But yeah, I gotta sus because they say to not forward because it's kind of, you know, it's illegal, right? Like, so they don't want people to just forward emails to strangers. Like you have to like tell them and whatever. So
yeah, exactly.
We'll figure it out. Should be fine. But it would be interesting. Yeah,
It would be
I
interesting.
actually.
I probably want to do it like in South America with an actual shaman and like
you reckon you wouldn't do it here? You would wait?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. That's good. Yeah. Personally, I would like to try mushrooms again, like you, but in that kind of, you know, mind state of, or that intention of, yeah, kind of growth, not just fun. But
yeah,
I'm not in a hurry though either. I'm kind of like, you know, I'm not like out looking for it like it's a priority. I just kind of think, you know, what if it comes up, I'll go for it.
Yeah, I would like to separate time, specifically for that, and do it with people I trust.
Yeah. I think it's definitely important. Yeah, to like, yeah, feel like comfortable. I don't know. I've had, for example, like at the ayahuasca thing, there was a dude there who had like a lot of acid. Like he had like a lot of it, and I bought like a whole bunch, but I had it for like, I never had it. I had it for like a year, and I was just like, I don't want to just do it like, you know, feel rushed, and like I want to feel like good time and place and whatever. And I'll be like, I I just don't feel like it. So I just actually never used it. I actually don't even know. I gave it to someone. I can't remember who I gave it to. Should ask them what happened. Seriously, can't remember.
That's what drugs do, son.
Yeah. No, that's the my bad memory is the fault of marijuana for sure.
Well, how crazy! I find it so crazy that plants are still illegal. You know, that magic mushrooms that just are born from the soil anywhere, like literally in a forest in Adelaide.
Yeah.
And then you also have the ayahuasca or the DMT components, you know, that just grow in thousands of plants. That's illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah, marijuana
I
as
know
well.
It's
so
actually
good.
crazy. You know, one of the ayahuasca things that we did, it wasn't actually ayahuasca. They used an Australian plant. There's an Australian, like it's the wattle plant or something.
Yeah.
Some specific species of it. Yeah. And you have to mix it still with, because you know the story of the ayahuasca, how it's two different plants.
Yeah,
one of them, the capi or something, I think it is, vine has the DMT, and the ayahuasca vine actually just has the thing that stops your stomach from digesting it. Like it stops the enzyme, and
it cancels the enzyme that it's in your stomach.
Yeah.
It inhibits the DMT component.
Exactly. And that's why it's kind of, there's some shit you have to be careful eating because of the. You know what's funny about that, Lowe's? Like,
crazy,
they reckon, they say that the two vines naturally grow like 1,000 kilometers away from each other. They don't even grow in the same place, supposedly. And so supposedly it's like this is what they say. I hope it's true, but supposedly it's a mystery, like how they put them together, because they grow supposedly like totally in different areas. So they like have no idea how they realized to like combine them.
Imagine the first dude that was like, I'm gonna take this plant, I'm gonna cook it, and I'm gonna brew it, and then I'm gonna take this other plant, I'm gonna do the same, I'm gonna combine them and see what happens.
That's exactly what I would say to people, because it's like, I'm like, how many people, like, you know, you can imagine that like before they figured out a good one, like they would have tried a whole bunch of shit which was bad, and like some was poisonous, and they were like you know, like trying all this stuff and it wasn't, you know, just getting sick, and they're like, nah, it's just gross, like it doesn't do anything, it's just gross. Like
And for
And
example,
then,
yeah, especially that one that is so apparently so gross.
yeah.
And you can apparently get DMT as well from frogs that have
Yeah.
from frog skin. So imagine some dude that was like, you know what? I'm gonna take the the liquid from this frog's
It's
skin.
poison, I think.
I'm gonna
Sure,
I'm gonna let it dry, and then I'm just
and
gonna
smoke it or something,
then
don't
I'm
they?
gonna smoke it. That's
Which is
so
crazy
crazy.
because I think it is poison. I'm pretty sure it's a poisonous frog.
Yeah, some of them. So I don't know.
But yeah, it's
also,
funny.
they say like some scientific dudes are saying that the for example, they think that Moses from the Bible, he had a DMT experience, and that's how he got the Ten Commandments, because
Yeah.
the vine that caught fire apparently has a high content of the psychedelic DMT.
Yeah, right. It's interesting. I mean, I'd like that to be true, but
yeah, it's a
isn't that
fascinating theory.
is that is it that McKenna guy who says that shit, like that humans evolved because of monkeys eating mushrooms or some shit?
Apparently, yeah.
I mean, I would like that to be true. I'm not convinced, but it is interesting.
It is interesting, yeah.
Hey friends, this is an intermission. James had an appointment to go to at this point, so we had to pause the conversation, but it's coming back now. So maybe this is a good time for you to have a pause if you need to. So you can pause this and we come back to the conversation. We started talking about storytelling and how important it is in the role of society, we think, and also in how we project different things about our own selves. So you can continue from now on. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good skill, storytelling, but
it is a skill. I think it's a skill that everybody needs to learn.
Yeah, I'm not very good at it, I think. I mean,
it's just something that you
meet
practice,
people
like telling stories.
Yeah, kind of. Some people seem to certainly have like a natural kind of talent for it.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
you meet people who kind of, they can talk about anything and make it sound interesting, whereas I sometimes feel like I've done a lot of interesting things, but if someone asks me about it, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't have anything to say.
Well, you were good at telling the ayahuasca story, but I was consciously asking questions that would get type of answer from you.
Yeah. That's the skill of the interviewer.
You told the ayahuasca story at the beginning, and you finished it. It was like 2 minutes long, but I knew there was more to it, you know?
Yeah, right. Interesting. Oh, well, I'll be curious to listen sometime.
You gotta listen to it, man. You gotta listen to yourself, and you gotta give yourself a break. You gotta give yourself, because you and I are very similar in the sense that we are quite hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that if you probably listen to yourself, you'll be like, "Oh, I sound so shit." Oh,
Yeah,
I say
no doubt.
I say too much of this thing.
I have no doubt.
Oh, I mumble too much. Oh,
yeah.
But in the end, it doesn't matter. So for me, you know what I started doing? I started sending audio messages to my friends.
Yeah, right.
Instead of typing when I felt like it. So I would send audio messages, and then I would listen to them immediately. And the reason why I was doing it is just so I could get used to my voice. Because the whole thing about disliking your voice is you not being used to listen to that frequency. Because the way that you experience your voice when you're talking is very, very different, because it just goes through your bone and through your and the resonance is very different to when something else catches it, that it's someone else's ears or just a recording.
That's funny.
If you get yourself used to it, you will give yourself a bigger break, and then you also realize, oh, I actually don't need to be so hard on myself about this. It's just
Yeah,
pointless.
right.
What's the point
It's
of
fun.
me just being a dick to myself?
It's funny. It's interesting that you talk about using voice messages because you know how like in South America, well, Colombia at least, like they always use voice messages.
Yeah.
Like, like they love it. And
Yeah, yeah.
I've
It's
always
good.
been like I've always been uncomfortable with it for the reason you're saying. Like I feel like an idiot. Like
I get you, man.
but
But it's so
I see
cool.
these people talking on it. They're like there for like 5 minutes. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm like, oh, how do
Yeah,
you do that?
I know. But it's good because you can relay way more, I feel, than just texting. Because there's
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
nonverbal cues that you can actually activate
yeah,
on a voice recording that you
yeah,
can't do
yeah,
with
yeah,
typing with just emojis, or just punctuation. So
yeah.
I
Of
think it's an
course.
important resource. For example, with my grandma, I try to send a lot of audio messages and she sends me audio messages back, and
Yeah,
it's
that's
very
cool.
different
That is
feel.
good. Yeah.
It's a different feel because I think also people can express more of their vibe and spirit into what they're
Mm,
saying. It's like
yeah, yeah,
music, song,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
when you feel something
I,
different.
yeah, I do agree. But I think I don't know. I've always felt like yeah, that kind of self-conscious, like kind of record something, and I'll be like, "No, that shit." Like delete.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you.
And
For
so
me,
yeah,
I feel very self-conscious with like
yeah, yeah,
video photos. Yeah,
yeah. It's not a bad idea though. Like,
it's good,
if I,
man. It works for me.
I'll
And
try it.
yeah, just and also I would listen to the voice messages I sent just so I can improve on my storytelling skills,
Yeah.
and also my English, and also the way that I say things and how I phrase and how I redact anything.
Mm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Anything you want to get better at, they say. I know that. Yeah, like playing the piano or guitar or whatever. Like just recording yourself playing and on video, you learn a lot.
Yeah, I think so. I think in anything, in the end,
Yeah.
it's
Just
all about practice.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But also just like like confronting reality, because like when you see yourself, like it's what you're saying. You like hear your own voice, see yourself. You like have to like face up like that. Is that what I look like? All right,
Yeah, yeah,
fuck.
yeah. That's true. It's like it's confronting reality. That's a really good way. Wow.
Give me a sec. I'm gonna go and get my wine.
What's the wine again? Can you please present the wine? What are you drinking?
I'm
What's the
drinking
name?
Sit Stay Society.
Sit
Toby's
Stay.
Shiraz Tempranillo.
Whoa. I love the label, man. I love the French bulldog.
It's for a good cause.
Did you say that they donate money to what?
To like a pet kind of rescue shelter or something, like abandoned pets.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm
totally good
drinking
cause.
drinking Inheritance by
Nice. It's
McWilliams Winery.
a very traditional label.
Seems like, yeah, it's 6 generations of winemaking. That's their that's their branding, and it's a Shiraz Cabernet.
All right. I don't know. I don't know if I've had Shiraz Cabernet.
I like Shiraz Cabernet. They're a really good blend to get into red wine, I feel,
Yeah, right.
because it has the richness and body of a Shiraz, but it gives you the fruitiness of a nice Cabernet grape. So it
Yeah,
allows
right.
you to submerge yourself in red wine and experience that. So if you actually like exercise a bit of mindfulness when you're drinking wine, which I think is something that you need to do, especially when you're new to drinking wine, you can enjoy the flavors a bit more instead of just experiencing it as a bitter and
yeah.
Wine is an experience, and cheers to that.
I can't say no. I've always kind of wanted to do like a somehow like learn a bit more about the differences and stuff, like the wine tasting, wine characteristics and stuff, because I don't really know at all. I just kind of I know I'm like, yeah, this is nice. This is not really nice. But
in the end, that's the whole point of it. You know?
I know. That's why I'm not too worried. But I would be curious.
Yeah. For example, I know shit about wine. I just make shit up.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't make shit up. I just communicate and I make shit up about how I interpret the wine. But I just know the name of a few grapes and a few regions.
Yeah.
That's it. And then if I like it, yeah, it's wine that everyone should taste, I think. And I think you have to do more with that. Like if there's something good, you need to like share it. It's good.
Yeah.
You know, that's the whole point of drinking something like wine is, do you like it?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. It's not about the price tag. Like I'm on this quest.
I completely agree.
Yeah, I'm on this quest of finding nice, cheap wine.
Yeah.
Because I think it's super possible. So I don't buy wines that are over $18. And they're always, yeah.
Yeah, this one was 10 for the half bottle, so wouldn't have made the cut.
It's good, man. No, but it's good. I would have bought that just because of the label.
Yeah.
It has a beautiful French bulldog. I'm buying that.
Good. Clare Valley.
There's a wine that I bought just because of the label. That it's called. It's a Malbec from South Australia.
Yeah, right. Malbec's it's Argentinian one, isn't it? I remember because it's the Chilean one is it Carmenere or something?
Yeah, Carmenere. Carmenere, yeah. You're right, brother.
Carmenere.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that I like that actually.
Yeah, it's
obviously in Colombia, like all the wines you get are either Chilean or Argentinian.
And this is the second and final intermission for this episode. We were just talking about some very personal stuff that we don't really want to share into the outer space of the internet. So I'm sure you understand. So now when we come back, we start talking about what we want to do with career-wise. So how do we see careers and what's our outlook with that? So welcome back and enjoy.
I don't want to be in some role where I'm like just expendable, like where, they can just get rid of me and replace me with anyone. I want to be in I want some kind of skill that makes me valuable so I can set my price. That's kind of what my goal was. I want to be like, I have skills that you need and I will set the price because you need me, not I need you.
What's the goal now though?
Sorry?
What's the goal now though?
Well, I mean, that's still kind of my goal. I mean, I'm just kind of saying that's why when I think about just like quitting and like being a barista, for example, I worry about that because it's like, feels like, it's kind of, it makes you at the mercy of the economy and, you're replaceable kind of, and, what happens if, I don't know. I mean, I'm curious how you see it, because I mean, what do you think? At some point, would you, do you think you would regret only doing that, or you would aspire to, finding something, that you would be more of a kind of a career type thing, or are you not worried about it for the moment?
So I'm very aware that my career does not define me. And that's something that I've come to terms with and I'm at peace with very much. So when I approach life from that conditioning, it takes a lot of weight off my shoulders because I don't need a career. I don't need to study something. I don't
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
to be someone important at some company that I work for. And
Yeah.
I've always had this vision of me wanting to be financially independent. So what that looks like for me is that I can live anywhere at any point.
Yeah.
So, for example, I know right now, I know that if I spend that I can afford my lifestyle with $32,000 in Australia. Done.
Mhm.
I know
Mhm.
that because I've calculated it.
Mhm.
So the challenge is to create that type of income without me needing to work. That's the goal. So it doesn't really matter what I do as long as I can get that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how I'm envisioning. So for example, for me, it's great that I got laid off from my jobs because I got all this time to think about, okay, shit, I now have the time to do or to take steps to learn how to get to that point. So the way that I see that I could do that and create passive income is, all right, I need to create my own e-business,
Mm.
So I'm going to give it a go. And I know that that would cooperate a lot towards my happiness. If I am able to be financially independent, if I get to be wealthy, that will get rid of my money problems. And if I get rid of my money problems, I have one less type of big problem to deal with in order to focus on my happiness and a family I want to build and
Yeah. Yeah.
family that I already have. And the things that
Mm.
really make me feel whole. So
Yeah.
for me, like I've purposely and very consciously have decided not to go to university and get a degree.
Yeah.
And me coming from my background, my South American background, it was a huge decision to make because in South America, you must get a degree if you want to be someone in
Mm.
society.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
So I've been happy with doing very expendable jobs that I'm okay with spending my time doing for money, like working in hospitality and working with people and that kind of stuff. And for example, when I decided to live a very comfortable job, it was an alright job working at a cinema
Mm.
to try something new because I just needed something new that was paying way less as a travel agent. I
Yeah. Right.
did I did uh, worst case scenarios in my mind that it's kind of stems from what something that Tim Ferriss talks about, which is fear setting, in which
Yeah.
you put yourself in the worst case scenario or the or in the situation of the fear that you have, what you fear the most, and what
Yeah.
are the steps that you will take in order to mitigate that risk, and also if that thing happen, it becomes a reality. What are the steps that you're going to take in order to sort out your life, kind of thing. Once you do that, it really helps you. Once you do that, it really helps you put things into perspective. So, for example, what I did is, okay, I'm living this very comfortable job right now in which I am well regarded. I'm earning well enough for my lifestyle, but I'm not getting any type of challenge.
Yeah.
Um, so, all right, if I don't like the new job, I could always come back. It's one thing. I've made good networks, good relationships in my current job. I could always come back and just do the same thing that I've been doing. The other
Yeah.
thing is the worst case scenario, they don't take me back. What can I do? I can get a bike and I can just do Uber Eats and I can just earn enough so I can continue affording my life. There's always things you can fall back on that are not going to define who you are, but they're going to solve your immediate money or your urgent money problems
Yeah.
because you have something bigger or some bigger goal in mind. For me, it's not
Yeah.
about I want to have a career as an Uber driver. For me, it's about, okay, I'm trying to figure out how I can be wealthy and how I don't have to depend on a company to pay for my living and support my family, but I can do it myself because I know full well in my mind that if I project myself 40 years down the line, and if I never tried to achieve that, I'm going to hate myself forever.
Mm.
And that, for me, that pain that I project has way more significance and weight than just being comfortable or
Yeah, I
not
completely agree.
facing those things.
I completely agree. But for me, I guess like that's why, like that's my motivation for like working hard on this, you know, the stuff I'm working in for the same reason. I think, all right, like if I work hard on this, then I can, you know, use that to become independent, um, you know, build some business, do something. Like that's kind of, yeah, the way I see that. I agree with what you're saying though. It's like, you know, the jobs don't define you, but it's the important part is having like something you're working towards. Like if I was
Yeah.
just working somewhere without any kind of plan for what happens next, then that's when I start feeling bad about it. Like, you know.
I think that's one of the big reasons why depression gets a hold of people is when there is no grand goal. There's no big objective. There's nothing that you're working towards.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's very important for us humans to be able to have something in mind that we want to achieve.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. But yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure like because I was thinking about if I just, yeah, like this kind of worst case scenario, I'm like, well, suppose I did just quit and I was just on Centrelink for a while. I could work on a lot of stuff and see what happens.
The thing is, we are super privileged right now here in Australia, in which we are probably in one of the top 5 countries in the world in which you can make that decision of, you know what, worst case scenario, I quit my job, I still getting paid. I
Yeah, I know
keep getting
it's
paid money that could
yeah,
afford a rent for myself and actually I get food. So like, yeah, and I got the support of my parents, you know, like it's this is the best case scenario within the worst case scenarios. It's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
insane. If you really want to make something happen as an Australian, yes, you have all the possibilities.
yeah, yeah,
And that for me is also something that I take into account a lot when I take risks. It's like, wow, there's so many things that like I can actually live without having to work,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. No, I agree. I guess I definitely have to admit, like I feel like um I don't know, is like pride or something. Like I guess my point because I was working in Melbourne at NAB, so I got a lot of friends there. Like they're like they've stayed, they're going on in their career. They're making like quite a lot of money relatively, you know, like 6
Mm.
figures. And I'm like, I could have stayed there and just, you know, been working no more hard, you know, working hard, whatever, but in a boring job, but you know, making a lot more money. And I'm like, you know,
You,
if I quit my job and I'm just like on the dole and like my friends there are like making all this, you know, money, I feel like kind of feel like a loser.
but well, you also need to remember that there's a big reason why you left.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was compelling enough to leave the money.
yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
other thing that I think it's important to know is that, all right, if you're struggling with this pride thing, maybe you should, you know? Maybe it's important that you go through it. And you like,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know what?
yeah,
I really should learn not to give a fuck what my former colleagues that really
yeah,
don't really care about me think
yeah.
about me, you
Well, I
know?
guess it's not pride, not just pride, but rather like thinking like, am I an idiot? I could have just, you know, I could have been making a lot of money right now, but you know,
Yeah. It
to be
all
honest,
depends. It
you know,
all
I did look
depends on
at
the
people.
optic.
Yeah, yeah. I did look at people working there who were older, and they never looked happy, almost rarely anyway. I'd always see them and I'd be like, you know, you're like unhealthy, you're overweight, you're working really long hours in your suit and tie, and you just don't look happy. Like I don't want to be like you.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. And the other thing, man, is that you're also bringing yourself way down. So, right, you have the experience that you worked in one of the biggest banks in Australia, and then you also have the life experience of living in a totally foreign and totally different culture, in which you threw yourself into the deep end to know to learn a completely new uh, set of skills to work for another company within a
Yeah.
different culture with a different language, and you've survived really well. You have all this life experience that a lot of people don't have. You're a risk taker, you know. That's something that a lot of people who don't have the guts to do, you know.
Yeah.
So in the end, you have all these skills that you're taking for granted, and you have all this set of skills that make you super unique, you know.
Yeah.
Like you can speak Spanish, you can do some programming, you can work in a bank, you know some martial arts, you know. There's so many different things that make you super
Yeah.
unique, and that's what you need to go for. That's the niche, or that's the new thing that you need to create.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I appreciate you saying it, man. You're a good life coach. Just,
Oh,
but
no, I don't want to be a life coach. Don't call me that.
serious question. Have you ever found, like, in Australia, that your Spanish is useful?
No.
Yeah, me neither. That's I always was like, I always when I came back and I was like kind of looking around, always like I'm like, where's the opportunity to actually like make the most of knowing Spanish? And I never found it. Like I was always hoping one day I'd hear someone talking about me in Spanish or something at least, like just so I could be like, uh-huh, like, you know,
But
some hot chicks talking about me and they don't know.
but probably now that you say that, it probably is a huge opportunity then, because you and I know that a lot of people here w would love to learn Spanish,
Yeah,
would love to be able to speak it.
yeah,
So there's obviously a demand for Spanish, and
yeah. Just
native a native speaker and you being a fluent speaker of Spanish, like, and we don't see the opportunities because we know there probably is an opportunity.
yeah. Well, I just meant like, yeah, in a work kind of like some kind of, you know, businessy kind of somehow you helpful in like, yeah, career or business connections or something. Like I liked it. I learned it because I liked the music and stuff, right? Like I didn't care. I didn't do it because I wanted to like make money from it. I would have learnt, you know, Mandarin or some shit otherwise.
Yeah.
But I've just always kind of I've just yeah I've realized that if I didn't find like people to talk to practice or whatever, I would just like never use it and just forget it in Australia. Like there's just almost no time. At least in the United States, for example, like, you know, heaps of people talk Spanish, so it's useful. Like even at the airport, like I go through LA airport and there was like an illiterate Mexican guy and the airport lady's like, "Hey, do you speak Spanish? Like, can you translate?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, yeah." So I'm telling this dude, and the dude's like, he had to fill out a form, and she's like, tell him he needs to fill out the form, and he's like, I'd tell him, he's like, "Ah, yeah, I can't read." I'm like,
Uh,
we're kind of screwed here.
yeah. Wow. Well, I also think that, you know, the way that the world is evolving, you know, and like even with the current situation we're in, you know, that probably we're stuck into our city right now,
Yeah, yeah,
is online businesses are going to be like a huge, even bigger thing than they are right now. Like this
yeah,
is
yeah.
going to have to be it's going to have to be the baseline.
Mm,
So like it's going to become quite easy to just create relationships with, yeah, it's not only going to be uh restricted to geography, you know, like
yeah,
you
yeah,
said before, that if I wanted to make more money, well, I probably would have learned Mandarin because geographically Australia is closer to China. But
yeah,
how things are going now is that we are going to be even more globalized. So I think you and I should start learning Slovak and Russian and
I would like to.
you
I
know,
like languages.
Sanskrit and so
Yes, yeah.
I want to learn everything.
Sanskrit is very important.
I want to
The
learn
most important language. I like learning languages, but I just, yeah, I feel like it's kind of something to do just for purely for pleasure, for the interest of learning, not because you think you're going to get anything from it. Because,
Well, I think that's key then.
yeah,
Like I would love to be able to speak other languages and so
yeah,
I can have conversations that I would not be able to have if I
yeah,
didn't know the language. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
if I didn't know English, my life experience here would be way more different.
yeah, of
So,
course,
for
yeah,
example, if I want to go to Japan and let's say I want to live in Japan for a bit, I would love to be able to speak with people that don't speak any other language than Japan and learn their Japanese and learn so much about their fascinating culture and their
yeah,
lifestyle and their
yeah,
upbringing. You know, like I think that that's a good thing about learning languages is that you can connect with new people
yeah,
that and learn things that you would not learn otherwise. Like I'm sure that you've learned things in
yeah,
Colombia that you
yeah,
probably wouldn't ever learned here.
yeah, 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 definitely, definitely. No, I totally agree. But that's the thing. Learning a language is like the number one reason, almost the only reason, is like because you want to go and talk to the people who speak that language. That's it.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
it's about
I don't know.
connection.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, there's a bunch I would like to learn, but yeah, I would only do it if I knew I
What
was going to be able to go and visit. Like, if I was actually going to be able to go and spend time in the place. I feel like, learning a language without ever going and actually experiencing it, living somewhere where you're surrounded by it, it's kind of like
mm,
pointless. I don't
yeah,
know. I don't know. I've always been extremely impressed by people who, like, you meet people. I meet people who speak English in Colombia, for example, and they've never been anywhere outside of Colombia, but they've learned
yeah.
English like fluently just from watching TV and studying and stuff. And I'm like, it's
Yeah.
amazing. I don't know how that's possible. I could never do that with Spanish.
Well,
No
you
way.
can't because there's no shows in Spanish here.
Well, yeah, it helps that
There's
they
no
can be
music in
that
Spanish that
they
plays on
can
the
be
radio.
they can be completely immersed in English language, culture, and stuff. It's true.
Yeah,
But even
'cause
so,
that's
I think it would have been really hard. Like, I can't imagine doing that, you know.
mm. No, before you leave, what are you thankful for?
um, hmm. I mean, I'm thankful for a lot of things, but
Be specific.
I'm thankful for listening to the birds in the morning. Number one thing. And my mum and dad.
Amen, brother.
But yeah, we'll talk more. I don't know, like, I feel like there's always lots to talk about.
Yeah, man, always. Always a story to tell.
But
And
yeah,
everything changes, you know, circumstances change so much that
yeah,
generates a new tidal wave that creates different thoughts, you know? So
absolutely.
from like an announcement from the government to
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
the weather, you know, that creates a new paradigm, a new way of looking at things, you know?
yeah.
So, and our changing bodies, of course.
For sure.
All right, man. I don't know if this will be a podcast. Maybe it will be.
I think you have to
Maybe
edit
it
it
won't.
heavily.
I'll edit. I'll probably edit the very personal stuff,
Yes,
and
please. Yeah.
but I'll probably edit it and then I'll send it to you, so you
All
can get
right.
over yourself and accept your
Because
voice.
I
And
mean, I haven't listened to your other podcasts, but you seem to interview really like talented people who are doing cool shit, and I, I don't think that I'm like one of them. So I don't.
well, I think it's great that you say that because it's a great opportunity for you to stop comparing yourself with others. Because I think you have so much value. Like like I've told you before, you are a friend that I value a lot because I feel like we have a lot of things in common. We have a very similar hunger for knowledge and to try new things and discover. You know, we're like explorers of whatever world we are in. And that's something that I relate to a lot. And that's why I'm so thankful to have met you, you know. So you are unique for the things that I said before, like from knowing martial arts to being able to work for a boring bank and learning yourself how to program and leave everything and live in a totally different culture just because you wanted to experience it. And those things are traits that not many people I know, of the thousands of people that I've met in my lifetime, have, and I value that. So give yourself more value, give yourself more worth, give yourself the shit you deserve, like that friends like me value in you. So I want you to stop comparing yourself to all the other beautiful people that I've talked to and that I've recorded, and all the ones that I haven't, because you are beautiful and extremely rare and special, James.
Thank you, brother. You too.
Okay, so that's my rant about you.
It was a good rant. You're good at this, man.
Something super relatable. We've all compared ourselves to others.
Yeah. Cool, man. Anyway, so okay, go, man. But yeah, let's talk soon.
Yeah, for sure, my brother. It was always a pleasure. Love you, bro.